All right, guys. Since everybody's here, 7:20 p. I don't even know what the hell that means. What is this? All right. Anyway, I'm not even sure if the hell. I think I'm on. I don't know. If I'm on, I'm on. If I'm not, I'm not. But I think I'm on. Anyway. All right, guys. So it's been a while since we've done a live stream. So I figured I have got to start painting and shit. So I'm in it. I'm in it. So if anybody gets here, say something in the comments wherever you're at, so I can know this damn thing's working. Because I guess Restream changed a bunch of shit since the last time I've been here. Isn't that how it works? It's just everything keeps changing on it. And once you get one thing down, they fucking start changing everything. Hey, Shadow, what's up, dude? It's going down, man. Oh, cool. I am live. You're welcome to jump in, too, if you want, dude. I'm just going to do some hobbying. Let me know if you're in wanting to hang. I'll send you the link to it. But I do some hobbying. I need to start. Shit, I ain't doing it by itself, so I got to get in there and start doing some hobbying here, man. I've been kind of slacking on miniature, man. I miss my miniature gaming, and I need to start. I have a mission all ready to go. I just need to paint the stuff for it, so I'm gonna start working on that tonight. I'm gonna try to do an hour a night again, like I had in the past. Oh, getting ready for chow. What are you eating tonight? You always tend to have some pretty good sounding grub. Steaks and fajitas and tacos and all sorts of good shit. Yeah, I haven't done it in a while, man. I guess Restream has some new RTS something or other. And I was thinking I had to do something special with that, but I guess not. I just do it the same way. I'm not sure what's going on. That's me in tech. I don't know what. You haven't paid in a couple months. Ooh, chicken pot pie. That's what I'm talking about. That's some good shit right there. Chicken pot pies. I tell you, a good microwave variety of one is the Marie calendars. I don't know if you guys have Marie calendars. I'm sure you do. I think. I don't know. That's really good. Like chicken pot pie. I'm doing some. I'm basing some fencing that I got from Millennium Con that I'm going to use for like desert fencing. So that'd be cool. Yeah, Restream is easy, but I think they have some new thing. Like it says it's going to force everybody to switch to it on the 10th of January or something or other. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is, so whatever. It is pretty easy though. I've been using it I pay for it now too, so I can I guess I do the lowest pay level, so I guess you can you can have more people on it or something like that, or it's got a little bit more features to it, I guess, than the free one. It's only like $20 a month. That ain't bad. But I figure, shit, if I'm paying for it, I need to start using it. Oh yeah, cooking. Today, Mel's family came over and we ate some fajitas. That's some good stuff there. Homemade fajitas, homemade tortillas, and that was some good eating there. We're all stuffed. Tiki, what's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Are you off today? Are you on break or something? I know you were working man, dude. Working for a living, living and working for a living, taking what they giving. The Huey Lewis for all those who don't know the hell I'm singing. Hey Tiki, if you want to jump in, dude, I'll give you the link, man. You can hang out. You can show your ugly mug, or you can just like show your foot. It doesn't matter. Or you can just have your cool tiki thing. I listened to actually last night. I was listening to your Undead Hula Girls song. That's pretty sweet, dude. I dig it. I dig it. Every time I hear it, I keep thinking of Scooby Doo and Zombie Island. It just kind of has that it has a similar sound to it. It's pretty cool. I love that Scooby Doo. That's a good one. Oh, paint models, huh? I saw that. I didn't get a chance to hang out with you guys the other night. I know you guys. I think I watched your video. You finished your trucks, your AA trucks. You know, I was thinking about it. You know, you put those wheels on the back end, right? And it makes sense. You know, you have like a buffer, like a bumper system. But I was thinking in that exact stance that you'd probably put them on the side because you wouldn't want to damage those dismounted wheels if they got, you know, but hell, they probably get just as damaged on the side of the damn thing too. That's one thing about any kind of vehicle. You're going to be running into shit. It reminded me of like the M113s. They have those mortar carriers, and they had the big base of the this is like in the 80s, the base of the 81 millimeter, like on the side of it, I think, so they can dismount it if they wanted to. The Germans had their 251 version of their mortar carrier. They had you can dismount the mortar too, you know, if you wanted to, but they had taken off the gun shield of the machine gun, and so the mortar would face forward and they would shoot it out of the vehicle. That's pretty cool. They also had a machine gun version, like a heavy machine gun version for that, for the half track, the 251. And it took the gun shield off. And you know, the tripod for the German heavy machine gun could be like elevated up and down, right? It had that cool tripod system. And they just elevated the gun up over the superstructure of the half track. And so the gun was secure and the crew was secure in that structure. And they were just in there shooting at things. Hey, squirrel, what's up, dude? Yeah, if anybody wants to jump in, you guys are more welcome to. I'll send you a link to it. Yeah, you know, the Americans had their mortar half tracks and whatnot. And then the M16, that's brutal. Quad 50s, shit, man. Yeah. T&A mechanism, huh? Is that like, I'm not sure what T&E? Excuse me, T&E. Yeah, it was cool about the Germans' tripod system, right? I forgot what they called it. It had a monoscope sight, right? So what could happen is you could elevate that tripod up a ways, and the crew, because you know it was like a finger, like the trigger was like a squeeze trigger. It wasn't like the gun's trigger. It was like on the bottom of, like, in the middle of the tripod, they had this like kind of like a pull, like it's not a thumb trigger like a 50, but it was like a squeeze trigger. But anyway, they could raise that up and they can look through that sight, and the scope would be slightly, you know, above them, and it could be, so they could shoot completely you know, covered, and they could just use that scope. So that's pretty cool. And they had that monocle, I'm not sure what the magnification for that sight is, but yeah. Oh, traverse notification, yeah. Gotcha. You know, you being military, ex-military, you know, it's funny. It's like, you know, I'm just a armchair general guy, you know, historian, and when you know when mortar crews when they're doing long range like barrages, right? And I mean, what are they even sighting in? You know what I mean? It's like because you'll see them like you know when you watch film reels or whatever, they'll shoot like 3 rounds and then they'll you know look through their scope and they'll do a little adjusting and then I mean are they just adjusting some sort of feature that they know that the target is like further behind it or something or because they can't see the target because they're shooting you know long distance you know out of line of sight. So I always wondered why they would just do a quiet adjustment and they're looking through this little sight and I'm like what the hell are you guys looking at if you're not actually shooting at the target. I don't know. I guess you know it's a mystery until you're actually doing the shit in combat, and then you know you want to forget about it. I guess. Yeah. So everybody who's watching, if you don't know who Tiki the Hut is, Tiki is another Weird War weirdo who has an excellent Weird World War II channel. He prefers to break weird with Conflict 47, which is pretty cool. If you guys are bolt action fans, it's basically bolt action. In fact, I believe it's a better version of bolt action than bolt action is. It's got some pretty good reactionary special rules that makes the game so much better. I mean, I don't know why Bolt Action Second Edition wasn't K47, but it wasn't for whatever reason. But yeah, he's gone full blown crazy like we all were back in the past when we buy everything and make these giant armies. And he's going full blown. And what's cool about Tiki is that he's making it his own, man. He's not confined into the army list. He's not confined to what's official. He's doing his fucking own thing and doing his own story. So definitely swing over his site. And in fact, I'll put the link of his site on here, his channel, so you guys can check it out. He's a pretty creative guy. He's writing his own music. He's got his own story for his armies. It's pretty sweet. It's good to see. It's cool to see folks thinking out of the box, man, because it's just I think people get so caught up in like the official whatnot and therefore is that they forget or they don't realize that they can make this hobby their own, you know, and not have to worry about TO&Es and fucking not TO&Es, but like, you know, FAQs of your game system and shit. Because shit. That's the first thing I do is when I start playing a game, I try to figure out, make it better. That is the first thing I like to do. Tiki, put your link up there. I can't find. I'm trying to find your damn. Let me go to my channel here. Let's see my subscriptions. There we go. Manage. Let me get that link. I know this is riveting, action-packed stuff, but I'm doing something important. Man, you're already at 386, dude. That's fucking awesome, man. You're getting those subscribers, dude. That's epic. There we go. There's Tiki's link, guys. Go check him out. And Squirrel, do you have your own channel? I'm trying to think. Let's see here. And I'll put Shadow up there too, dude. That's one thing we need to do. I mean, you don't need to. You can do whatever you want. But I like to plug those players who are part of it. You know what I mean? Back each other up. There we go. There's Squirrel Hermits. It's a sweet squirrel on there, dude. Like a fucking lion. There's squirrels. And let's do Shadow. So one of my favorite, me and Tiki are talking about doing a best of like movies, Weird War movies, like do a team up. And one of my favorite Weird War II movies is The Eagle Has Landed. And a lot of people think like, it's funny because a lot of people don't realize that Weird World War II, anything that's divergent from history is weird. You know what I mean? If like, Operation Sea Lion happened and there's no robots and there's no fucking zombies and there's no mechs, then, if you actually play out Sea Lion, that's fucking Weird World War II. You know what I mean? If Hitler was assassinated and, whoever remote will take over, that's Weird World War II. So when you have like most Hollywood movies in the fucking cinema are all Weird War, like Kelly's Heroes, that's Weird World War II. That shit never happened, But that's what makes Weird World War II so cool, is that it can be that divergent. It can be, it can be zombies, and it can be mechs, and it can be they made a right at Stalingrad instead of a left. You know what I mean? And that whole divergent timeline is a weird war. So you can just go crazy, man. So a lot of you, if you're a diehard historical fan, historical gamer, you guys break weird all the time, because if you play at Gettysburg and the Confederates kick ass, defeat the Union completely, then it's like that's Weird War, man. It's like you've changed the historical timeline. So we used to do that. We used to, before we really dived into the weird aspect of it all, we would do like, like we played Battle of the Bulge, but like the weather was worse longer, so the air power didn't come into play for like a month. So it was like they had, the Germans had a little bit more wiggle room there, and to do, they still got their ass kicked, but but there was that, you didn't have that. They had a little bit more time to push and to make those gains before the air power came into play. So that was always a fun one. Oh yeah, so Shadow's always online, dude. He does all sorts of shit. Yeah, we need to do like a Weird War like role playing game. That'd be sweet. Hey, no problem, Squirrel. It's all good, man. We back each other's playing, man. But yeah, so like, anyway, Eagle Has Landed, one of my favorite World War II movies. And so the synopsis is Germans are losing, and just for fun, and they're coming. So the Germans are coming off the high of the commando raid that rescued Mussolini, right? So they're like, they're all, Hitler and his cronies are all like high on the hog, saying that their commandos can actually do something. So someone just kind of joking, or Hitler kind of suggests that why don't we kidnap fucking Stalin or Churchill or Roosevelt, and no one took it serious except Himmler. And so Himmler kind of pushes and kind of pries, and next thing you know, there's a feasibility study for it by this admiral, or not admiral, but this major, and then shit just happens to line up, and it's like serendipity. It's like, holy shit, we could actually do this. But like the head of the German High Command, or Abwehr, or whatever it's called, the secret services or whatever, he's like, no, we're not going to do that shit. That's stupid. It's not going to solve anything. I mean, even if you kill Churchill or kidnap him, it's not going to end the war. I mean, it's not going to. The war is done. I mean, he doesn't say this out loud, but he's like, the war is ended. We lost, and doing this ain't going to solve anything. But anyway, it's basically they come up with an actual plan, and they send up this crack squad of Fallschirmjäger into England, and they pose as Polish paratroopers, like SAS paratroopers that are training in the area or whatever. So Churchill's coming to this area to like see a old friend, and he's gonna stay the weekend. You know, it's on the seaside or whatever. He's just gonna relax, and they actually land, and you know they do it, and there's a big battle. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, because you know I DoorDash for a living, so I'm in the car like fucking 12 hours a day, right? And I got the audiobooks. I've been doing audiobooks. So I'm listening to the audiobooks of The Eagles Landed. Man, it's so good. So great. Paco Rosso yesterday. I don't think I know Paco Rosso. Oh yeah, that's the Studio Ghibli animated movie, right? Yeah. Hey Ashley, what's up, girl? Nice. Hey guys, everybody on board. Gamers with Coffee, which are some old friends. They're on the board. Let's shoot your link up there. They are gamers extraordinaire. They game everything, and they drink a lot of coffee. So there you go. I mean, if you're into gaming and coffee, they are the ones. The one. Throw that up there. Hey, Chess, what's up, dude? Suffering the cold chills of Alaska. You know, it's funny. You know, there's talk that there was an actual commando raid into England by paratroopers at one time, but there's no fucking proof of it. But I don't know. I need to do some more research on that because I hear different things from it. But from what I know, no Germans have landed on like the home island. I mean, you know, they had like Chersney and the Canary or whatever islands, but they didn't actually land on England itself. But you know what happens when the Germans land on England? A fucking witch shows up with like reanimated armor, and the armor kicks the Germans' ass. So, woo, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. That's a weird World War II movie, guys. Don't forget. That's a weird World War II movie. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Don't forget that. That's a good one. Oh, hunting deer. Oh man. So like, you know, me DoorDashing, there's some communities around us, and they're like set into these like really heavy woods, right? And there are fucking, I mean, I'll drive in there in the morning and there must be 50, I'm not lying, 50 fucking deer just in this like, you know, intersection in this area. And I'm like, and then some of these bucks are like, I counted one, it was like a 22 pointer. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This thing was massive. And he's just walking down the fucking road and he's eating everybody's like, you know, garden. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, and there's kids like sitting like on the like by the stop sign waiting for the school bus, right? And there's fucking deer and then we're talking bucks, man. And some of them are old, but most of them are younger. And I'm like, I pull up to the kids, I'm like, you guys watch out for these dudes with the horns, okay? Because yeah, they still got horns. I mean, they might look domesticated because no one's shooting at them, but you gotta be careful of this shit. There's a lot of deer around here. It was just so fucking surreal. I'm just like, if I had my gun, I'd take home some dinner. Oh yeah, so you know, in my Divergent timeline, I've really set it up to where America is pretty much they're fighting the Japanese, is what the Americans are doing mostly. And the Germans, they don't have a treaty with the Germans or anything, but they're just not attacking the Germans. And the Brits are off the board. The Commonwealth is off the board. So it's like, I'm not going to tell you why. If you listen to my shit, you'll know why the Commonwealth isn't around anymore. So it's basically Germany is fighting, pretty much has Western Europe and Eastern Europe. And they're pretty much just fighting the Soviets. So it's mostly Soviets versus Germans, and then the Americans are fighting the Japs. But and the Commonwealth, I see, that's one thing. It's like I had to figure out a way, because there's no fucking way the Germans would win, or even last any longer than they did in real life, right? Because they don't have the fucking people. They didn't have the the munitions and all the supplies and all that shit. It's just they were kicking ass at the beginning, but it would be a meat grinder against the Soviets, man. It just fucking look at fucking Ukraine. Russians are just throwing fucking bodies. They don't fucking give a shit. It's bodies, 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 bodies. And the Germans, they couldn't fucking do that. It's just attrition. So and then if you got on both sides, you're fucked. You just can't make the Germans last any longer than they did. So the only way that I could think of was to neutralize the Commonwealth, because without the Brits in play, the Commonwealth in play, shit. And then the Commonwealth kicked ass, man. They, if anything, I don't want to lessen any exploits of the Commonwealth, but I mean, at the very, very least, they are a massive fucking barricade or speed bump for the Germans. The Germans got to fight them. They're fighting them everywhere, right? You got all this Commonwealth, and they got the Great Navy and all that. So I'm like, I have to neutralize the Commonwealth to like expand this war any further. So yeah, but I've had some commando raids where we played a game recently where some crack airborne like jump troops, jump packs were out to assassinate Patton during the Bulge. So that was a lot of fun. Let's see here. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, so in Texas, we talked about this weekend. I went playing with my buddies this weekend. We played Unfathomable, which is fucking cool. It's a board game, and the whole board game is you're on a cruise ship from England to you're leaving from England somewhere, and you're supposed to land in Boston, right? But while you're going, these deep ones are attacking the ship, right? Deep ones, and there's some traitorous hybrids, part of the crew or part of the players. One of them, at least one of them, is a traitor, and anyway, you're trying to survive, and all this crazy shit's happened. But anyway, we were talking about that because one of my buddies, he's got a big old ranch, and him and his sons were out there yesterday just shooting. They shot like 15, 20 pigs, and we were talking about it. And yeah, so in Texas, pigs are open season. There's no season for them. It's always season for pigs. Now, they, from what I know, you still need a license to hunt. You still need a hunting license. I didn't think you did, but they said that you did. I'm not 100% on that. So, you do? Yeah. I mean, you don't know for sure. Oh, you do? Yeah. You called the Texas Department of Health or Department of Game? So more than likely, the state still wants their cut, right? So you probably have to have a hunting license. And you can't shoot from the road because, you don't want to shoot the guy driving by you when you shoot it, but you can shoot from air. You can shoot pigs from air. I know that for a fact because I watched some documentary about that where ranchers were taking helicopters up and shooting the hell out of the pigs. But yeah, it's bad here, man. They're fucking everywhere. It's crazy. So yeah, if you want some awesome, if you want some pig, you want some ham, come on down to Texas, get a driver's license or get a hunting license, and then go to town, man. Get as much as you want. Yeah, so Trench Crusade, it's cool. It's really neat to see that. I said neat. I'm showing my fucking age. It's cool to see that. People are breaking weird all over the board. You got Trench Crusade, which is Weird World War I, and then there's there's some other one. There's another weird World War I one that came out not too long ago. You got K-47, you got the World War II stuff. You got was it Silver Bayonet that's breaking weird in Napoleonics, and then you got I want to say in there's that one that like the Turnip Wars or somewhere shit. That's another Napoleonic, or that might be an English Civil War weird war where people are like walking fucking plant monsters. I've never played that one, but yeah. Oh yeah, Quar. So man, that's awesome. So so a little insight about the Quar. Okay, so the Quar is from Zombie Smith game miniatures, I believe. Zombie Smith games. And in fact, when I had my miniatures company, What the Miniatures, the sculptor that I used was Aaron Brown. He's down in New Zealand, and he did all the sculpts for the core. He was the sculptor for the core, so that's pretty cool. I can always say, yeah, the guy who sculpted my stuff did all the core line for Zombie Smith. So it's kind of neat. A little insight on a little weird war trivia. I've been tempted to like get back into a minis line. There's some stuff that no one makes yet, and I'm thinking like, shit, I should get that going. Because that's one thing. That's one of the reasons why I started What the Miniatures, is because this was shit 15 years ago when I had that company. I sold it because my son's ill, and he started getting bad, and I got divorced, and I had to I didn't have the money to continue it on, so I sold it to a buddy of mine, and he just didn't do anything with it. I don't know what happened. I mean, that classic Bucky and Captain America set. I don't know if you guys, that really hard to find one. That was my line. I did like Red Skull. I did shit that unofficial Marvel stuff. I did some. I was the first. I have to admit, I was the first guy to do American Zombies. I did a line on there. They're here. They're actually right here. I did a line of airborne zombies. I can't see this guy, but my camera sucks. But there's a guy with his jaws hanging down, and then we got a guy without an arm. These are like 44. Sorry, guys. Yeah, but anyway, this was my favorite. I was like, you got to have a paratrooper. These are paratroopers, right? So check this one out. It's he's he's wrapped up in his parachute. He's like, bro, I'm wrapped up in my parachute. That's kind of cool. But yeah, so I was the first to have American zombies. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, so you say that HS. So doing research. This is funny. I'll go on Wikipedia, and I know Wikipedia isn't like 100%, but what I do is I just plug in a year. Like I put in 1930, right? And it has all these headlines, like all the major things that was happening, like so January and then February, whatever, it goes down. And I was doing that, and I discovered that there was an assassination attempt on FDR when he was president-elect, right? I believe he went down to he was down in I want to say he was in Florida, or I can't remember where he was, but he was down there, and some guy shot at him but missed, and killed the governor of Chicago, or the mayor of Chicago or some shit instead, right? But there was an actual assassination attempt on FDR, and he survived it. And the guy was he was Italian, I think, and he was like an anarchist or some shit, whatever. But what I was going to do is I altered the timeline, and what I did is I put FDR was actually killed, and the Italian, was actually a communist. So what happens is that the Red Scare basically happens in the 30s, right? Like it was in the 50s, but it's happening in the 30s. And another thing that happens is Lindbergh, he's running for office, right? And his kid gets kidnapped, and and then that happens, and they find the guys, and they're communists. So there you go. There's another communist thing, and then and this gets pretty political. So but thing about Weird World War II is that it's 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 in a historically reality. But when you alter things, it can get sticky. I don't give a fuck about that PC shit. But what happens is certain elements within the US, they kind of do this operation to have like minority groups be infiltrated by communist organizers. So it gives like these certain groups reasons to like isolate or to you know uh, outlaw certain political groups and certain like races within the country, saying that they've been tainted by communists. And this is the proof. We have like this big organization is meant to be for this group of people, but it's actually in fact a communist just organization that is they're building up to try to take over the country. So the whole Red Scare happens, and a lot of different groups are suppressed, and America becomes, it's not so much a dictatorship, but it's pretty bad. But so, and that's one of the reasons why the Americans don't fuck with the Germans. They just deal with the Japanese. Is FDR is not there to do the Lend-Lease. So the Brits aren't getting, the Commonwealth aren't getting the supplies. The Soviets aren't getting the supplies that America did. But America is kind of fractured because there's some political strife within it, and there's some suppression of certain rights and certain peoples. And so what they do is like, we're not going to fuck with Europe. We've already done that before. We're going to deal with the main enemy, which is Japan, because they attacked us. So they concentrate on the Japanese. But with that mindset, if you have the Americans just fighting the Japanese, they're going to crush the Japanese pretty quick. So I had to like do some weird warring to weirding it to make the Japanese like really lethal, right? So and one of the aspects of that is they've got some kaiju, right? So so there's a couple kaiju floating around, beating the shit out of any kind of American fleets that start making their way, west. So there's that limitation. And then I wanted to isolate Europe from North America and South America, right? So what I did is Atlantis comes into play. So Atlantis is like, okay, no more fucking surface dwellers in our land. Because what happens is I kind of came up with an idea where like the sinking of some of the naval battles in the Atlantic, one of the ships gets sunk, and it actually lands in like, when it sinks, it goes to the surface or on the bottom of the ocean, and that bottom of the ocean happened to be like a fucking villa of the royalty of Atlantis, and it killed like the sovereign, like the king, landing on it. And it was at that point Atlantis puts a martial law on the Atlantic Ocean because it's theirs. And they're like, fuck it, we're securing the Atlantic now. So any surface vessels on the surface are destroyed. So boom, the Atlantic Ocean is like suppressed. So it's like you don't have that. So that's another buffer that the Germans can use, that they don't have to worry about their west flank. They can just deal with the Soviets and then go south towards Africa. And then I have all this political instripe down in South America and in Africa, and something crazy happens in Australia. That's pretty sweet. But yeah, there's a lot going on. But yeah, because I mean, to make it weird war and to continue it on, you got to kind of change it around a little bit. But yeah, let's see what we got here. Yeah, the Core are great minis line, guys. If you haven't seen it, check out the Core. Oh yeah, you were telling me about that Bob Ollie stuff. Man, you need to get that out there in the world, dude. I bet you there'd be a lot of people into it. Oh yeah, so you're talking about so that's interesting, because when the veterans came back from World War I, there was a bunch of strikes, right? Because they weren't getting their promised relief and their pensions and all that shit, right? So and that's, I believe, MacArthur. It might have been, I think it was MacArthur. It might have been Patton. They actually took tanks to one of those demonstrations and heard a bunch of them and shit. But yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy. But yeah, you can alter that stuff. Yeah, so that's what's cool. You can find that little, it's just some little blurb in some historical, history book and say, hey, that'd be cool if this happened instead of that. And what's interesting is that, and I did a bunch of research on the vice president, FDR's vice president, his first vice president, and he was like a Texan, if I remember correctly. If he was a Texan, and he was he was like a traditional Southerner. So he had some hang-ups on that, and but now that he's in office, because the president-elect has been fucking murdered, and then now he's the president, and so he kind of instigates. He wasn't as I can't remember. I got a bunch of notes in a folder about it, but I kind of altered him to be kind of badder than what he was, and he's isolationist. He doesn't give a shit about Europe. He cares about America. He wants to make America great. We're not going to get involved in these fucking European wars anymore. And then all of a sudden, the Japanese attack, and it's like, get the Japs. So he closes the border, and there was a report that the Americans had made plans to invade Mexico. They give the generals something to do. Here, do a feasibility study on how to invade fucking Mexico and secure the oil fields in Mexico. So there's an actual operation that they formulated, whatever, to evac Canada and Mexico. So those can be in play. If something weird happens. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Battle of Athens. There you go. Oh, there you go. Yeah, South America. I mean, there's a lot of great, opportunities that you can manipulate to make South America, viable in your gaming. One of the biggest one is just, if you don't want to get too far weird, is you can just do the Panama Canal, dude. I mean, that is like a major strategic point that everybody, all Axis belligerents would want to neutralize, right? And then all allied belligerents want to secure. And then you can have the locals are like, well, fuck you guys, we don't want to be in your war, but you guys are fighting over our, whatever. But yeah, they can do all sorts of stuff with that. It's crazy. We're talking about all these crazy things, and there's a lot of similarities to what's happening in the world now. Syria's on the board now, Ukraine, and the African, Central African nations, and it's the world's in another flux, dude. And we're on the precipice of, man. I guess we're always on the damn precipice of something stupid, but yeah. So it's crazy. It's craziness. The Confederacherios in Brazil, armed by Germany. And that's another. I had thought about if I did do some sort of action, I really want to do, because I'm Texan, right? I'm born and bred Texan. I want to get some Germans in Texas. And what I was thinking about doing is I was thinking about having the relationship to the US and Mexico just turning to shit, really bad for whatever reason. There were some instances down there during that time that could make some issues, but it's an alternative timeline, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. But if I was thinking about the Axis were backing the Mexicans, but I have supers and stuff in my Weird War, right? They're not just super soldiers. I mean, we got Superman's in my Weird War II, and Wonder Woman, and the Amazons, that kind of shit. And so I made up my own superheroes, but I have this one superhero called the Gate. They call him the Gate, or the Gatekeeper. That's it, the Gatekeeper. And what he's able to do is he's able to make a portal from one point to another, right? Basically a warp jump, I guess. But it's a portal. But he has to either see it or have been there, right? and he's a world traveler, so he's been all over the world. He's been to DC and whatnot. So in theory, he can make a portal from like from Germany, to like Washington D.C. and this portal will appear and like the Panzer divisions just start piling out of it or some shit. But I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do it, because if that guy really existed, he'd be like prime #1 kill list by everybody, because they don't want that kind of power. That guy's super powerful. So he might be able to do one thing, and then I'm gonna do like a commando raid to by like several different nations to kill him, because he's just too damn powerful. I'm really altering the war in China. I've really not fallen in love, but become really interested in the war in China, which unfortunately it's the West doesn't have a lot of knowledge about all the crazy shit that was going on in China, the China front. And what I wanted to do is because there was a point where the Germans were back on the Chinese before they were back on the Japanese. And what I really wanted to do, because so this is something I learned I didn't know about. I was doing some research. After World War I, all of the so the Germans had colonial islands in the Pacific, right? They had laid claim to some small islands in the Pacific. And what happened is after the war, those islands reverted to I want to say Japanese control, if I remember correctly. The Japanese were given a couple small islands or whatever, right? But they were German colonial bits. So I was thinking, like, the Germans are still pissed about that the Japanese took those islands after World War I. And when they were asked, when the Nazis came into power, they were asked to give them back, and the Japanese refused. And that's the schism between Japan and Germany, which causes Germany to back the Chinese. Okay. And I was going to say Skoda actually built a factory in Japan or in China. And so the Chinese have access to the 38Ts and the 35Ts and the cool Skoda Czech like weapons of the time of the early war. So they got some armor, and they got some decent weaponry, and more mainstream kind of shit. Let's see. Let's catch up here. Yeah, dude. I mean, Tiki was talking about, he's big into the Imperial Japanese kind of stuff, and he was talking about those aircraft carrier, subs that the Japs had, and I think they could carry like 2 or 3 like seaplanes in the hold that they had. And there was plans to actually like attack Panama, the Panama Canal, and try to neutralize that, because that was huge, dude. That was massive. This wasn't like these ships aren't like from what I've read is like an aircraft carrier. And Tiki, you might know this better than me because you're a big traffic guy. That like an aircraft carrier from like the east coast of the States can make it to Europe in what, like 3 or 4 days. Shit, it wasn't like that back in the day. I mean, if you weren't on that coast, you'd have to go down the Panama Canal and make it back, to get back up there. So it's like you don't have that speed like we do now. So those kind of choke points are so vital. And if you have like if you wanted to go like Panama was like, the people were uprising, or I mean, you can even go as far as like they're being brainwashed by some sort of mad implement by one of the belligerents to make them, do as they say and fight the Allies. You can just do that, But yeah, you can just go crazy. And guys, if you're into World War II and you don't really know much about World War II, do yourself a solid. Read about the history of World War II. And what you can mold that conflict into the way you want to break weird for your gaming. Because a lot of people, I don't understand this. I'm not a PC guy. I mean, I don't try to offend people. If I really, honestly, I try to be nice to everybody, but I'm not going to not say things just because someone might be offended. I'm just going to say what I feel. So I'm not really worried about all that. So I know some people, not a lot, but some people are hesitant to do World War II because it was a real thing and blah, 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 blah. And there was Nazis and whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit about any of that. But if you create your own world in the weird World War II timeline, you can alter it however the fuck you want. So if you have some weird aversions to that kind of stuff, then you can just come up with storylines that just absolve whatever you don't like about it. You can do that with any conflict. If the Civil War, you can do fucking World War One, you can do the Russo-Japanese War, whatever the fuck. You can just go crazy and just create your own timeline. So, but I know that a lot of people don't have the time to really, they want to play a game and they just want to play. You don't want to have to write rules, but man, I'm telling you, when you find a rule system that you like, and just stick with it. Don't buy anything else. Just if that's the rule system that you love, just stick with it. Modify it. Add to it. Take away from it. Make it your own and just play the way you want to play. Stop playing these tournaments. Stop playing how these books tell you to play. Just play how you want to play. But you got to get like-minded people. Luckily, I have a captive in the house that has to play what I play. Thanks, baby. But when I go to cons and I host my Weird World War II games, everybody has a fucking blast. There's Nazi cultists and there's fucking kaiju and zombies and fucking Captain America and there's naked sacrifices. They gotta say all sorts of shit. It's a blast. It's like a damn fucking movie. It's great. Breakdance battles. Hey, I'm sure somebody out there has come up with some breakdance battle rules. Because shit, there's rules fucking for everything. But yeah, Weird War is great. And then again, if you have problems with a certain conflict because it's it's political, you can all like trench crochet. Holy shit, it's been different from what I've understand. It changed at the Crusades. So all those years up until the World War I conflict, it's completely different. So you can go that far back to change whatever the fuck you want, to do. Yeah. Well, sure. I'm a rules. I love reading rules. I don't play a lot of rules, but I've got all of the weird World War II rules out. I got let's see, I got Conflict 47, I got AE World War II, I got Nuts, I got Secrets of the Third Reich. I got all the minis games, and I got a bunch of role-playing games. The role-playing games are great for Weird War, Weird War II. I really dig Cthulhu Cthulhu. I'm not a big fan of the mechanics of the game. I don't say that because it's a bad mechanics. I don't like playing modern games in role-playing because I have not found any mechanics that deals realistic damage with modern weapons. Because man, if you get hit with a bullet, you're fucking dead. I don't give a shit. If you get hit with a 45 caliber bullet, you know what I mean? It's not going to just be a D20 damage and you have 150 health or whatever the fuck. No, you're dead, dude. You're fucking dead. So for you to role play on the level that these a lot of these scenarios would have you do, there's just no way you can survive. One shot and you're dead, or you should be. And I can get away from the fantasy stuff because it's like swords and sorcery and wizards and you got armor and whatever. I can let that kind of realistic damage slide. But when it comes to modern combat or even futuristic infantry combat, I cannot handle these low damage rates for, you know, this weaponry, but you know, whatever. Yeah, Battleground, baby. That's my boy. That's my system. So if you guys aren't familiar with Battleground World War II, Battleground World War II is the first 28 millimeter marketed game of World War II. And it was fucking phenomenal. This was back in the early 90s. And it was I mean, so HS, was it popular where you're at? It had a following down here in Texas, but it wasn't like massive. Because you know, this was kind of, I mean, historical, like World War II historical at 28 was unheard of. You'd have 15s and you'd have micro armor and shit like that, but at 28, I mean, you might even have 20s, like a couple rule systems at 20s, but anything bigger was usually, you know, like fantasy or sci-fi or something like that. But yeah, Battleground's awesome. I fucking love it. That's what my system is. It's a heavily modified version of Battleground World War II. Hell yeah, I mean, it's true. Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's all you need. Shit. You and your brothers, man. I mean, 4 people playing the same game. Holy shit. You can go gangbusters on any system with that many. But you had 7, that's awesome. When I was growing up here, it was 40K, and it was what was it? When I was playing in the late 80s and 90s, it was 40K in Warhammer Fantasy, what third edition, I think. There's a pretty big following for Warzone down here too. And then what else was people playing? What was that? What's the Steam robots? The war what the fuck is it? I can't remember. Warzone? No, War Machine. War Machine was pretty popular down here. So yeah, but I bought everything. I played everything. I had like, I didn't buy armies for everything, but I bought the rule books. So I bought like the rule books for almost all the 28 millimeter scale stuff, just to read the mechanics and just, you know, see how they did it and what, you know, how to alter shit or whatever, have cool ideas or whatever. But yeah, so I was saying, if you're into Weird World War II, give Achtung Cthulhu, you know, if you can get some of these books on the cheap, they got some great, pretty great like background, like, you know, the story. You know, they got some pretty interesting weapons and characters. And again, I'm not a fan of World War II role playing. I mean, I do it, I play it, but it's just not my go-to if I'm role playing. But they got some fantastic, like, different kind of creatures and soldier types and whatever. And they had a minis line. They had their own skirmish level war game called Achtung Cthulhu Skirmish, and I played a bunch of that. Me and Mel played a bunch of that, but it used the oh god, what system was that? I think it was Dystopian Legion mechanics, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't like exploding dice. You know, you keep rolling dice if it's a certain number, and you roll those, and you keep rolling that and that and that. And that. I'm not into that shit. I mean, minimal dice rolls as you can. You know, like, I'm not a big 40K fan where you roll fucking 150 dice at once. That's just fucking crazy. But I mean, whatever. Oh yeah, 15 mil. Yeah. Those, a lot of the guys I hang out with, they're big 15 guys. Shit, man, these guys. I mean, these guys are older. They're in their 60s and 70s, and all of their shit is painted, guys. And we're talking fucking all of it. All their board games. I mean, they got hundreds and hundreds of board games. So any kind of minis in that board game is painted. They go get them all painted professionally, and it's just amazing. They have like 28 millimeter Napoleonics, guys. I mean, like full fucking ranks of like 15, like four deep, you know, 20 long or some shit. These massive fucking blocks of troops, and they are all painted out exactly how, it is. They got 28s, they got 15s, they even got like fucking 6 mil. It's crazy. It's awesome though. Yeah. Oh yeah. 15s are great, but they're not as fun to look at on the table. You know what I mean? I mean, it's cool. You can have like, fucking companies of like tanks or whatever roaming the battlefield or whatever, and that's cool. That looks cool, but man, hey Justin, what's up, dude? But like having a platoon of like 148 scale tanks on a tabletop, that's even fucking cooler. That is awesome. But yeah, so lots of cool stuff, lots of cool ways to, break weird. And if you play, I want to say Modifius just came out with a role-playing game of like Cthulhu during the Roman Empire. So that's kind of cool. And you got your Weird War Rome. That's kind of neat. And like I was saying, the Silver Bayonet, that's pretty cool. And it's funny because like Silver Bayonet's like a skirmish game, right? So it's almost like just a handful of, troops. But I would like to see a full-blown Napoleonic game, let's say Waterloo, with Weird War elements in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you would use. You could do like Ghost Cavalry, or maybe they've got sonic weapons or something, like a sonic cannon or something like that. But that would be awesome to see a full-blown Napoleonic battle with some sort of like heavy Weird War elements to it. It could even be like the command stand has a wizard, on it, is able to cast. It'd be great is if you could cast like morale boosters for your fucking units in Napoleonics. If you keep your troops from breaking, shit, that'd be fucking win right there. Keep those damn guys in place. You're gonna, no matter who's falling, you're gonna kick the enemy's ass. Oh yeah, Space 1889. That was fantastic. That was so awesome. In fact, I saw some STLs. Some guy did some 28mm STLs of the flying ships. They had the Martian ones and they had the British ones. And those are so sweet. Those are so cool. I didn't like how the Martians looked, though, in that game. But the Brits were cool looking. I was trying to think, did Space 18... Did that have... were the French there and the Germans there? I want to say I only remember the British being on Mars. Yeah, Turnip 28. We were talking about that earlier. What war is that set in? Is that Napoleonics, or is that like English Civil War or 100 Years War? I kind of like, I was looking at the Trench Crusade minis, right? They got their own minis line or whatever. I fucking dig the Brits have like the fair maidens, like the hippie wizard chicks. They're kind of just in like some nightgowns and they're frolicking through the woods, casting spells and shit. I need to get those. Those are fucking sweet. That'd be great. Like a British. I have like in my Weird War, I've got like the British have witches, or like they have like the Celtic, whatever druidic shit, and there's like covens of witches that fight for the Brits. So they did have French, Germans, and the Scots, and yeah, the Martians. I didn't like the Martians. They just look kind of weak looking. They kind of look like have you ever seen ElfQuest, that comic book? They reminded me of the elves from ElfQuest. But I don't know. If I remember them correctly, I think that's what they look. I don't remember. They were like really dark skin. Were they brown skin? They're like a gray, weren't they? A gray? No, they were like white, but like kind of like a paler white. I can't remember what they look like, to be honest with you. Oh, okay, cool. Right on. Yeah, I'll check out that squirrel. Yeah, because it's basically if I remember correctly, oh yeah, Bedknobs and so my buddy JC, he writes a bunch of stuff for 2 Hour War Games, and he did a Bedknobs and Broomsticks little campaign. It's fucking awesome. He does some great shit. Me and JC, dude, we've been weird boarding it for a long time. In fact, when Easy 8 Enterprises were the guys who did Battleground, me and JC, we were going to buy those rights from them, but we reached out to a couple of the owners, and they just wanted that thing dead for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure what the reason why they closed up shop. I think there was some infighting. I think there might have been some legal issues from some of them, but they just decided to end it all and none of them pursue it. And so they just killed it. And we were going to buy it, and we were going to like continue on with it, but we couldn't get a hold of all of them, and the ones that we did get a hold of, they just didn't give shit. So kind of killed it. Oh, dude. So one of my sponsors, KLT Models, he does a line of like kind of weird war fantasy minis. It's got like Gandalf with like a grand rifle, and like, the Hobbit's got like some Tommy guns. But he did the Wizard. I can't remember the damn wizard's name. And then his brother, the evil brother. And then like he did Peace, and he did the hot chick, the fairy chick that's with the wizard. They all have like World War II weaponry. So I've got those minis. They're pretty fucking sweet. Oh, they're 32s, so they're bigger. Oh, okay. Dogfighting like aircraft. See, one of the big things with me in a lot of these like 28 millimeter, scale games is they're adding too much to it, like aircraft. Now, realistic. I mean, dude, you were in the fucking Air Force, if I remember correctly, Tiki. I mean, you're talking danger fucking close, strafing and doing a bombing run on the table size of like a K-47 table, dude. I mean, you're talking with those troops that close to together and a fucking strafing aircraft, he can't tell who the fuck is who between, because they're so close to each other. So, and we tried to do a lot of, we got a bunch of, I did a bunch of this whole huge helicopter like rules for my game, right? And we play tested it a lot, and we saw that helicopters work because, and it was mostly like transport helicopters would come by and transport and fly off, or there'd be like a helicopter doing like a top, like a sneak attack, like fly up and shoot and come down. But for the most part, helicopters just became scenery, dude, because the minute you put like a Whirlwind, or you put an M16, or you put a fucking, a Maxim, a quadruple Maxim, AA truck on the board, that volley of fire at such close range to these aircraft, they just shot them down every time. The only time you could really use, because what we did is we forward like Vietnam helicopter tactics to World War II. So the Germans were using larger scale Dragons to carry their troops. And the Americans were using I think it was the R-12 Dragonfly. It was an actual helicopter that was made in 45, but they didn't do anything with it. It was just like they made a few prototypes of it, but there's just one great picture of it's landed, and like it kind of looks like a Huey a little bit. It's landing, and a squad of fucking troops are coming out of it. So it was big enough to carry a squad of troops. It wasn't just some recon or recovery helicopter like, the helicopters of the day. But in that gaming, they just got shot to shit unless you smoke the damn board. That's what, because that's what they did in Vietnam. They would smoke an area, then the helicopter, the gunships would come in, and then the transports would come in, and they drop these fuckers, and and get the hell out of Dodge, and the
gunships would fly around and suppress areas that were firing back. But on the table size that we have, you know, you can't do that huge of a fucking maneuver. So they just got shot to hell, and they just ended up being scenery. I mean, you could probably do it with 15s, but still, you're really pushing, like, you know, the. Let's see what we got. I'm gonna go look back and see what you guys are saying. Sorry, I've been blabbering. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear I'd love to read your rules, Tiki. I mean, because I love the idea of K-47's gravity guns. I like the idea of, like, what basically causes like a gravity well around the target and like crushes it. That's fucking awesome. There was a role-playing game called Godlike. It was a weird World War II one. It was like superheroes during World War II. And there was this one German superhero who's called the Inertia. And what he could do is, if he could touch something, he may have had a range of this power, but what he did is he negated the gravity of the target, and the spinning of the Earth would shoot it off into the like space, because it didn't have any it was zero gravity. So the Earth basically just flung it off the fucking planet. And he could just like do that to, like, you know, there's a damn battleship, and he just go zap, and the battleship would just fly up and burn up and fly out of the atmosphere. I was just like, that's fucking awesome. But it's just like one guy, right? So he couldn't do like huge, you know, whatever. But that was just I'm like, didn't even think of that kind of shit. That was just awesome. But I love the gravity. Like it crushes, like the heavier the vehicle, the heavier the armor, the more, you know, crushing it can do, whatever. That's a cool fucking weapon. Oh yeah, dude. So HS, I meant so there was going to be a second edition of Battleground, right? And in fact, they're coming out with Battleground Vietnam before they closed up. And I have those rules. And what they did is they made everything morale based, which I fucking love, because it wasn't like, you know, you didn't roll specifically for, you know, the weapons and the ranges. You rolled on the morale of the trooper. And so everything's morale based. So your gut checks and your skill checks and your, you know, your sighting checks, and we have awareness checks. I started an awareness check. Everything's morale based. So the better you are in your morale, the overall better you can do with whatever you got to do. Everything's checked on your morale. So, but it's basically the Battleground system, but it's pretty heavily modified. The close combat rules come from the Islands of Glory. The real, like, complex, like, because I wanted that, because it was my opinion that most games, their close combat is so quick and just, you know, simplified that it just doesn't seem fun. It doesn't seem lethal. It doesn't seem, people are willing to get into close combat because it's so fucking easy. It's like, highest I wins, yeah, I win, blah blah blah, whatever. Well, in this, it's like, you know, you got certain kinds of actions. You can, if you have any actions left over, you can do. If you're the attacker, you can do a strike attack, or you can do a shooting attack. And if you're the defender, if you have actions left when you're being attacked, you can dive, you can block, you can do a shoot, and you can do a strike attack. Now, if you don't have any actions left, you can only do a block and a dive, right? That's the only thing you can do. But what that does, if you succeed in your skill check, it lessens the damage of the attacker's attack on you, because you're deflecting him, like you're hitting him with his, you're hitting his barrel of his gun with whatever, or, you're throwing something at him, or if you're diving out of the way, you get, he's like trying to fire. So it's more personal, it's more bloody, and it makes more sense, but it does slow the game down. But what it also does is it slows people up to not just run into fucking close combat. I mean, this is a modern battlefield. You should be shooting at each other. You got weapons that shoot off the board. You need to be using that. You don't necessarily just run at each other and get 40K, just run at each other, get into close combat, and kill your enemy. I mean, but you can do that in this game, and it's awesome. It's bloody as fuck. but it seems I don't know, it's more fun, but it does slow down the game a little bit if you're not. But when you, just like in anything, when you learn the rules, you get faster and faster. So, but yeah. So so Tiki was saying 200 meters is danger close for like an aerial gun, like a strafing gun. Yeah, 15s are sweet for big games. Yeah, and you're true. Prop aircraft could, they are slower and they can get in there a little bit further. That's another thing is like, that's something that you don't ever see. We have smoke grenades. We have all sorts of grenades and signal flares and shit in my game. And you would have to do that because it's like, we're the ones in the green smoke, dude. Don't shoot those guys. So, and you can easily put that in like your game of K-47, saying that if there's no identifying markers of friendly units, there's a higher chance of friendly fire. You know what I mean? There'd be a modifier. But if if your friendly units pop smoke, that modifier becomes a positive modifier because they know that, okay, the purple smoke are good guys. So we have positive contact on who's good and who's bad. So your modifier to do a successful strafing run would be better. But yeah, it's little shit like that makes. I mean, it doesn't slow the game down that much, but it gives it that more realism and that excitement because it's like, oh shit, we're out of fucking smoke grenades and we got an incoming, P-47, fucking or a thunderbolt, not a thunderbolt, but a hurricane coming in fully fucking loaded with rockets and shit. And you're like, oh fuck, we're really close to the enemy. Everybody dive down. But yeah, it'd be cool. Yeah, Squad Leader was awesome, dude. I fucking love that game. I used to have that, man. I used to have so many games. Yeah, it's basically a gravitation gun from 40K. Yeah, I fucking love the grav guns back in the day, dude. Those are cool. So in K-47, that's right. You can shoot in close combat. That's right, in point blank range. I do remember that. All right, Justin, man, thanks for swinging by, dude. DB, what's up, dude? Long time, brother. Okay, guys, if you guys don't know DB, okay, Dungeon Brush babbles. Dungeon Brush, he's the man. He is the fucking man. I'm gonna give him your link, guy, because you're fucking awesome. So check this out. So I'm perusing. So this is another DB is another example of how I just plugged in battle reports, right? And and I came across one of his battle reports, right? And he is so fucking real. He's like us, like you and your buddies having a few beers, you're rolling dice, you're playing your game, and you're having a fucking blast. And I'm like, I fucking love this dude. I'm gonna reach out to DB, and I did. I just shot an email to him, and we started talking. We've hung out, talked to him. Man, he's fucking awesome. But definitely, he plays all sorts of shit. So you guys need to go check out his channel too. I'm gonna throw that link up there for you, DB. His shit is epic, and he plays everything. And he's a painting mofo, man. He throws down the paint like a madman. He paints like crazy. Okay, guys, you guys go to Dungeon Brush and check him out. DB is a bad mofo. You need to check out his channel and just like all of it because it's epic. It's good to see you, man. Still waiting for that blimp. Those I can't say dirigibles. I can't say that word very well. But I'm gonna call it blimps. He picked up a blimp bombing game, like a World War I blimp game, and it looks fucking awesome. I can't wait till he plays it. How would you like to be a blimp pilot back in World War I? A blimp bomber. Fuck that, dude. That is crazy. Oh yeah. Oh, you're doing so he's a big BattleTech guy too. So, but so guys, if you want any no bullshit assessment of a game, and I'm talking about a gamer that's been gaming since he was like a fucking Embryo. A fetus. Yes. Mel said a fetus. Yes. This guy has been gaming for 40 plus years and he's gamed it all. Right. And it's so funny. It's like he has these great stories. It's like, he's like, yeah, I was down in the dungeon and I sneezed and a box fell off the top of the fucking bookshelf and it was my old fucking 40K squad army. I thought that thing was gone. It's just awesome because he's been in the hobby so long that he's probably experienced and played some of the shit that you have in your youth and, you know, that you've always loved but haven't gone to it, you know, and he talks about that stuff. But he's a no bullshit kind of guy. He is a gamer through and through, man. He's a hobbyist and he's a gamer through and through. And he will give you a no bullshit assessment of a game that he plays. He will not hold back. He will tell you how it is and I resonate with him, man, because he's fucking awesome. The DB, I love you, bro. I can't plug you enough, man. You're fucking great. But yeah. And what's cool is he's got a couple boys and they're starting to turn into gamers themselves, and that's awesome. I totally failed, man. And my family, my kids, they have no interest in fucking wargaming at all. It sucks. But you know, at least DBs are. And I don't know, Tiki, you don't know if you have kids yet or not. I think you said you had, but no, I don't think you have any kids yet. But you're young. You're a young pup, dude. You need to have like a couple hundred kids and get them into this hobby and keep it alive. And man, I don't know about the next generation, guys. Woo. Everybody's, you know, attention spans about 20 minutes and then they're fucking done with it. So you can't have that. But when you're in wargaming, because you got to build the shit, you got to paint it, you got to, you know, put it on the table, pull it off the table. But yeah, well, cool. But yeah, we're just rambling about Weird War and gaming in general. Now, also, guys, if any of you guys that are watching are from like across the pond, on the weekends, Tiki's a madman. He I think you work during the night, or don't you? You work at night, and like, so anyway, he does a live feed from like, what is it, like 3 in the States. It's roughly like in the middle of fucking night to the early morning. He'll do a live cast, and it's a blast. It's like a fucking party hanging out there. But yeah, so if you guys are like across the pond, you know, that's probably the afternoon for you guys. So it's a perfect way to get some geek time in with some cool motherfuckers. And he's just painting away all this stuff. Tiki's got some cool ideas for his Weird War, and it reminds me a lot of me back in when I first started the Weird War. You know, all these ideas and all these cool fucking scenarios and all that shit. So 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Eastern Standard. Yeah, so middle of fucking night. Oh, shit, dude. Listen, just as a father, you know, I got stepkids, or I got stepkids, I got real kids, I got some kids I raised that weren't even mine. You are never ready for fucking kids, man. Ever. You're not financially ready. You're not mentally ready. You just do it. And then when you do it, it's a fucking blast. You know, it ain't easy. It ain't fucking easy. But man, it is so awesome to have kids. It's great. I'm a big proponent for families, man. I love hanging out with kids, and, you know, I miss my kids being young, dude. You know, now they're all like, my kids are like woke and shit, dude. It fucking sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck. I mean, they are who they are. But, you know, shit, I wore a fucking mohawk, you know, victory spike, you know, 12-inch victory spikes as a kid, and my parents were probably shitting bricks. They're like, God, what did we do wrong with this freak? You know, but, you know, hell. And hopefully it's just a stage. You know, we all went through that weird stages. But, you know. But kids are great, man. Give it a try. I mean, always try to have kids, but, you know, that's the fun part, is trying to make them. Shut up. My old lady's like, Mel's like, you're dumb. Come here and say hi to everybody. Come here. She'd being shy tonight. But yeah, kids are a blast. But they are a handful, man. Woo! They are a handful. You definitely have to put a little bit of brakes on your hobby, and because when you gotta like feed them, clothe them, and shit. But so what's everybody doing? So DB, you're knee deep in BattleTech. You said hovercrafts. I guess you got I guess that new Kickstarter dropped with all the like infantry and aircraft and stuff. That's what I played when I was back in the day. Was I played everybody loved the mechs. I was like, no, I'll play the tanks, dude. I mean, one hit and those tanks popped, but you got a platoon of tanks, you know, those badass lasers, they would take down one of those big mechs. The infantry were just cannon fodder. But dude, if you had any built up terrain, because what was it, City Tech? I think they came out with a book for like urban warfare in BattleTech, and that might have been Mech Warrior. I can't remember. Ah, hell, I'm fucking old. I can't remember what happened yesterday, to be honest with you. Oh, right on, dude. Yeah, you know, you had mentioned that you teach. What do you teach? Yeah, I used to do remote work at home too. I was like a fucking I would like audit like chat rooms for like it was like 4Kids TV. It was like the cartoons or whatever, and they had like like message boards that the kids would like talk to each other with. And I'd be like an auditor for that shit. Yeah, you can't say whatever. You're a fucking kid. Delete. Yeah, it's pretty funny. City Tech. That's it. Yeah, City Tech. But yeah, man, you get that infantry on those rooftops and in those those buildings, and those mechs dumb enough to hide behind them. All of a sudden you got these damn missiles shooting out of these windows, and jump troops jumping off those fucking buildings onto your mech, killing the pilot and whatnot. Yeah, that was a blast. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, you're still doing your small dude. You're fucking those Carthaginians look fucking awesome, dude. Those look great. I mean, what are those 15s or those 10s? I want to say they're 15, but they look great, dude. But I don't know, dude. You were playing with unpainted shit, man. I don't know. I mean, my heart hurt after hearing that one day. No, here's post something to you guys. So DB was talking at one time that in his gaming life, he believes that you should play with painted minis, and it's almost like a respect to your opponent as well as to yourself to have this stuff painted out to make it look cool. So the experience of the game is that much more, right? And I thought about that for a while, and I was like, in my youth, I didn't really care. I'm a game horse, so I just want to play, right? So I would play with guys that didn't have painted armies because I just wanted to play. But me personally, I would paint all my stuff, and I thought about that, and I thought about those games where you were playing games where everybody had painted armies. I mean, it doesn't even have to be the quality of painted, but they were completed. They were painted. Those games are so much more fun than the games where either nothing was painted or one side was painted, because it just didn't feel like it was finished. It just seemed like it wasn't 100% game. And I'm thinking about that, and I put like, if it's a board game, I would probably not. It wouldn't matter if it was painted or not. But if it was a minis game, I would want my stuff painted. But yeah, do you guys prefer all your stuff to be painted before you play with it, or are you cool with just throwing down like some gray or metal when you're gaming? Custom. Oh yeah, you're putting the the secret police. Oh, Sailor Moon models. Hell yeah, dude. So Tiki, I don't, I'm not sure of your level of like exposure to all the other weird war that's been out there, but Dust had a line of like Japanese schoolgirls, like schoolgirl uniforms with like weapons and shit, right? And those might be awesome for like your home defense or whatever troops. And they had like some ninja like chicks like in like bodysuits with like katanas and stuff. But give the SS, I think is what is it, the SSI or SSU faction from Dust and Dust Tactics a look over. They got some pretty cool anime kind of schoolgirl with weapons and shit. It's pretty cool. Unmanned system. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're big like yeah, you work for the I gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, really? You couldn't sleep. Yeah, so DB is saying he couldn't sleep for days after he played with some unpainted figures. For shame, man. For shame. So Scroll, you painting everything up? Yeah. Yeah, so and Tiki agrees. He says that he does everything painted if he can. Yeah, I mean, it's just because I mean, one of the big draws, the big hooks, I should say, because I do a lot of con games, and my con games are never just like like an army versus army, right? It's always a story. All my games are scenario based. They're rarely army list, build an army to attack each other. It's always like there's a downed pilot and Captain America and Sergeant Rocket Easy got to go save him from, whatever. Or like the one we did this last Millennium Con was the Black Sun. We're going to have these offerings, right? That they were going to sacrifice to resurrect some sort of ancient dark god or whatever. And the Americans players had to infiltrate the woods that was being guarded by the Black Sun. The Black Sun are kind of like mystical Nazis. They're coming in and they had to stop the ritual. And if the ritual came to play, like I think it was oh god, what is it? Dark Young. If you guys are familiar with Cthulhu, a Dark Young materializes, and then a bunch of like small like squiggets pop up from the offerings. And if a certain like there was a Black Sun, okay, so there's a Black Sun cult, which are like the actual like wizards and shit, and then you had their troops were protecting them. If the cult were all intact, none of them died during the ritual by either the monsters or by the Americans, they can control the summoned creatures. But if they got shot, if one of them got killed or whatever, they don't control. The monsters are summoned, but they're not controllable. So they start fucking flailing and killing the Germans as well as the Americans. It's shit like that. So I really love like scenario games because more than likely these people, you probably won't see these people again until the next con, or they got another game after you or whatever. You got 4 hours to do just something fucking fantastic. So awesome boards, awesome minis, shit they've never seen before, all this high adventure. And in my games, I just say, tell me what you want to do, and I'll tell you what to roll. It's that easy. I mean, you tell them, the bare, mechanics on how to do whatever. And these guys pick it up like that, and they're laughing and they're screaming and they're just having a blast, dude. And it's those games, great paints, great painted models, weird shit you don't see at the game store, because all the shit I buy, none of the stuff I buy is at the game store. It's all bought off of the internet because game stores just don't sell the shit that I play. So a lot of these guys don't even know what the stuff is. And then like these weird, like, scenarios, and they're like, wow, that's awesome. Never played something like that. And it's that kind of shit. But it's like those tables, just they gotta look good to hook these people to get into it. But yeah, painted games are the best. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the Japanese secret. I call them the secret police because I can't say the word. I try to do that. Like I've been trying to do that in my gaming, like when we're playing, like a battle report. I won't say Panzerfaust. I'll just say like rocket launcher, or I basically say rocket launcher. I don't say whirlwind. I just say like a whirlwind. I don't whatever because I can't fucking pronounce it right. Like Sturmgewehr. I just say assault rifle. Whatever. So I just butcher the names, and so I'll say secret police instead of the Kemputai or whatever they call them. Yes, HS. That. So I remember a con game we played. Oh yes, the word recce, dude. That if you live in North America, well, I don't know. The Canadians probably say recce because they're Commonwealth. So, but yeah, it's reconnaissance. Yeah, exactly. And like, forget about trying to like say these damn German, like words for their unit types. I just say, yeah, that's a reconnaissance or recon group, and that's those are engineers. I mean, that's easy to say pioneer, but like these are combat engineers. Instead of saying pioneer, you say these are combat engineers. And that kind of shit. So, but yeah, recce. At first, because I played Bolt Action when it first came out, I was like, what the Recece? What the hell is that? And it wasn't until I watched like a battle report that someone said recce. I'm like, recce. What's that? The fuck is recce? Reconnaissance. Okay, right on. To each their own. I'll say reconnaissance or recon. I say recon, but yeah. Recondo. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's true. Oh, man, it's funny. It's like, I listen to, you watch these movies and you listen to these books or whatever, and the Brits always call their lieutenants. I'm like, where the fuck is there an F? Lieutenant? It's like, what the fuck? Where does that come from? But yeah, they write it the same way that we do, so it's like, what the fuck? But it's all good. It's all fun. And that's one thing. So like, we're talking about cool looking tables, right? I like to go to like train shows, right? Because the O scale trains would be perfect for like your 28s and up, and then like if you're doing like 15s or 20s, your HO scale would work. So the one bad thing about that is that train shit is so you thought wargaming stuff was expensive, right? Try model train stuff. My God, their stuff is expensive as hell. Like the new stuff. I mean, if you can go to a game, a con that has like a people selling their old shit or whatever, you can get some good stuff. But man, if you're trying to buy brand new train stuff, holy cow, that stuff is expensive. Woo! It's rough. Sniper bait, yeah, they are. Man, can you imagine? I mean, recon has gotta suck. I mean, bad. I mean, especially like if you're talking about recon, like an early war recon, right? Or even Americans recon in Germany, holy shit, you're dead. You're just fucking dead. I mean, I guess any recon would suck, really, because I mean, you're on the tip of the spear, and you're definitely get fucking hit. You got to drive away as fast as you get into it. I love the dual drive and some of the like the German vehicles and stuff. But shit, those heavy recon vehicles the Germans had, those armored cars and stuff, they're just fucking pointless. I mean, they weren't really doing recon anymore by the time those things were deployed. They were like defense all the way. But they're cool ass armored cars. I love armored cars, man. Those are great. My favorite armored car is probably the Puma and the Greyhound. I love the Greyhound. I love playing with the Greyhound because the Americans 37 millimeter, those fucking canister rounds. Holy shit, those rock. I mean, a giant shot, 37 millimeter shotgun. It's like liquefy anything in front of you. And then like in the game that we play, like in my game, you can reduce vehicles. Like you might not penetrate the army, but you can fuck up the barrels. You can fuck up the sensors, i.e. the vision ports and optics and whatnot, and you can shred the radio antennas and stuff. And although it might not destroy the vehicle, they're blind, or they can't communicate and whatnot. So machine guns, rifles to like vision slits. We have the rules. If you aim at vision slits on a vehicle, there's a modifier. If you hit it, that vision slit is negated until the crew inside spends some actions to like because they can replace the vision blocks. Stop, stupid cat. Inside the vehicle, they just pull it out and they stick a new one in. But that's not. For gun optics, if I remember correctly, tank crews only had like maybe one backup gun optic. But when that optic gets fucked up, you're screwed. You can look down the barrel like, okay, we're lined up. Close it. Kapow. But yeah. Yes, man. Model trains are brutal. I mean, I usually look at the scenery and like the buildings and stuff. Man, they're fucking expensive. Yeah, the tank, the Type 92s, yeah. Shit, man. Talk about an overworked crew. The Japanese tanks and they got guns pointing in every direction. They got a main gun, it's like, and like, you got no sense, you got no, spatial awareness because you got tank commanders looking down, he's targeting the fucking main gun and the other guy's loading it and the driver can't see shit because he's like sandwiched in like a fucking small ass. It's crazy. We got a couple of armory museums down here where I live, right? And one of them has a Stuart. It's an M3A2, I think is what it is. It's not one of the M5. The M5 was the newer, the modern one, but it was the older one. And dude, I'm looking at the vehicle's pretty big from what you think of a Stuart to be, but it's big. But 5 guys in that motherfucker, and we're talking 5 guys, all the ammo, all the other shit, the normal equipment they carry, whatever, and the food and their whatever. Man, that is a lot of dudes in that small space. And it's just like, that has got to be a nightmare trying to do that stuff, man. Yeah. So like in Battleground, like if you hit it, so Battleground has like locations. You roll, it's a D20 system. So you roll D20 and like here's an example. So you got the vehicle you're shooting at, you do the range, you do the length of your barrel, whatever. Anyway, you roll the hit in essence, and then you roll a dice to see where you hit on the vehicle. Now there's some modifiers. If you were aiming, you can kind of, I think you can modify by 1 space or whatever it is, but you roll random to see where you hit. And if it hits and it does not penetrate, there's like a non-penetrating effect. It could be like, no effect, or it could be like, headlights destroyed, or, radios destroyed, or, the driver's -1 action because he's been wounded. He hasn't been killed, but he's been wounded by the hit. Like some spalling hit him or whatever. But then, then there's a penetrating. You would roll the penetrating effect, and then if there's any additional effect from the penetration on the vehicle, it'll tell you what happens. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It gives it more, and like the crew can bail out. They don't just vanish. You know what I mean? That's one thing. And again, a lot of these mechanics are meant for for speed of play, right? But I tell you, when you get into these games, and these are the games that you want to play, and that's all you want to play, you want to play it more detailed because you want more out of it. You want more out of the system. So it's like, these crews don't just vanish. They actually bail out, and they maneuver on the battlefield. They can do. I've had tank crews bail out, shoot up a squad with their sidearms and their one MP4, their one submachine gun they yanked out with them. Or you can take the MGs out of a fucking tank. It takes you a second to dismantle it out of, but you can take a coax and a whole like a a ball mount MG and take it with you. I don't know why people don't do that, but you can. Or you can just mount the top of your tank like Audie Murphy and lay down some fucking fire with that 50. But yeah, it's a disservice to like the lethality of these units when you just play them so just vanilla, because it's like there's so much opportunity that these crew could do, even though they bailed out of the tank and they rally, they're broken, they bail out and they rally, and they can either remount the vehicle or they can fight. It's just, I don't know. Raven, what's up, girl? Good to see you. Good to see you, girl. Let's see what we got here. Let me go up and see who's hanging. The rear agent. Yeah, I mean, and plus with the doctrine of the Japanese tank, it was just like, they're assault. If I remember correctly, there wasn't a whole lot of tank on tank action that the Japanese encountered. So most of their tank warfare was like assaults. So they were pushing and breaking lines and breaking through enemy lines. So they needed that that rear view MG support, because you got Chinese running behind them and throwing shit at it. I mean, and the Germans had the same thing. They had that. I can't say the word. It's basically a close-in defense weapon, which is basically a flare gun in the roof of the tank, and you just break open the breech and you stick a shell in, and it's like a 2-second fuse on the shell. And there was different kinds. There was flare and there was smoke and whatever, but they had a high explosive. So like if some Soviet assault troops are starting to get on your Panther and starting to they're about to start pouring whatever, putting something on there, they shoot that grenade up, that shell, and it burst above the tank and shred the troops on top of it. And the Japanese, they just use their machine guns behind, shooting behind them. But yeah, it's just amazing to think that they had to come up with this tactic, because it was happening. Guys are jumping on your fucking tank. It's just insane and crazy. It's true. HS, you're talking about the Japanese culture going from, almost a feudalistic Middle Ages kind of life to like full-blown industrial. And then you had and this, Tiki, the bitter rivalry between the Imperial Japanese Navy and the Army, for resources and everything. It's like, and unfortunate for the Japanese Army, most of the stuff went to the Japanese Navy because that was what was more important to, whatever. But I mean, hell, the Japanese, I mean, if you read into like the political climate of the Japanese at the time, they were killing each other off. I mean, you had Tojo and his stooges killing off like Japanese politicians and shit that weren't in line with their views and stuff. So there's a lot of that too. They're wasting, and then they're all lying to the Hirohito and all that shit too. And I'm not trying to say that Hirohito didn't know what the fuck was going on. He knew, but not probably to the level that Tojo knew. So it's crazy. So that all that stuff is it reverberates out to like the dude on the trench, because the army is fucked. They're not getting modern weapons. They're still using older weapons that aren't as good as they could be. They're not getting new equipment. It's all the same shit. I mean, not to say it's shit, but it's all the same stuff. But yeah, it's wild. Oh, I'm glad that you swung by, Raven. I appreciate it. I know this isn't really your stuff, but hey, I've got Bigfoots in my fucking game. In fact, Raven, I need to get with you. You need to send me a list of what special kind of attributes a Sasquatch slash Bigfoot would have. And I'm talking about like the Bigfoot from North America. Because I have in my game, I have Native Americans. A lot of the tribes have banded together. They're like medicine man. I don't know if medicine man is the correct word for it, but like their mystical leaders they've all had visions that there's a bigger bad, and they realize that the governments of North America, being Canada and America, they don't know what the Native Americans know, and they're like, there's a mystical danger to everyone. If we don't join this fight on that level, then this big mystical bad is going to be really fucking bad and destroy the world. So a lot of these tribes start to they get into their special units of the Canadian and the American Army, and they act as basically kind of like mystical warriors, and some of them have the ability to contact the Sasquatch and the Bigfoot, and basically made their claim to like them say, look, this is what's going to happen if we don't fucking join in. I mean, although you're not into humanity, but it's going to affect the whole world. So, and then the Bigfoot start to join in with some of these units. I mean, there's not a whole lot of them, but like, so I basically need some like characteristics of what Bigfoot would do, like, because I know you're really big into. I mean, I'm not saying that's all you do, but you know a lot about it. But yeah, some characteristics or like some special abilities or whatever that the Bigfoot could bring to a battlefield like scenario, instead of them just being big Bigfoot guys. But yeah, think about that. Let me know. Yeah, and and you're right. The Japanese armor were support, elements. They weren't the Japanese didn't fight like the Germans or the Americans or the Brits did when it came armor versus armor, maneuvering, whatever. It was infantry support. I now Tiki, I've shit on my blog. I got hundreds of World War II movies that I've watched. I mean, from 1930s to now, and I've watched dozens of like Japanese wartime movies at the time. It's so weird. It's because you don't never see that, but the Japanese made like jingoistic war movies just like the Americans and the Brits and the Germans or whatever. And it's wild. But there's this one I have to find I can't remember the name. It followed a tank platoon through a campaign through China, and it has the Hygos or the Hamas or no, which one is it? The early war one with the 75. Is it 75? I can't remember but the real vehicles. I mean, it's like because this was made in like 38 or 39, right? So it's like the real vehicles, the real sold, all the right kit. But it follows this tank platoon doing this, through this campaign. It's pretty fascinating because I have never seen anything on a Japanese tank crew other than them getting blown up in like the Pacific or something like that. So it was just cool to see to see that. I don't know what the fuck they're saying because if it didn't have subtitles, but you could, like, I watched Godzilla, the new Godzilla movie, which was fucking awesome. I watched that in Japanese. I didn't even need to hear what they're saying because I could follow along with what was happening. That's how good that movie is. You can just watch it without the subtitles and know what's going on. But and that's kind of like what I did in those movies. I don't know what the fuck's like what's actually being said, but it's done in a way that you can figure out what's happening. But I'll have to find that movie so you can check it out because it follows the tank platoon. It's pretty awesome. Oh yeah, dude, it was bad. Yeah, Russians, bear troops. Well, I was also gonna have like the Americans have bear troops and the Canadians would have like bear access. And the Chinese would have the panda units, the trash pandas, coming in to kill shit. Yeah, Godzilla -1 rock. That's the one I was talking about. That was so good. It was really good. I was impressed. It was weird because I tried to find, when I watched it, I could not find an English subtitle or subtitle version. I could only find the straight Japanese version, and I was like, "Fuck, I don't want to. I want to watch it." So I just watched it, and I followed along fine. It was so good. I like it was just good. It was just, man, it was a fun. There's been, I remember the Japanese. They also made another movie. It was soldiers versus dinosaurs, but it was like in the 80s. So they were like, they were kind of like dressed like the Japanese Defense Force were like dressed up like 80s, American, uniforms and shit like that. And they were fighting against like pterodactyls and fucking T-Rexes and shit. I can't remember what the damn movie was called, but it was pretty good too. That was a fun one. Oh yeah, the Oriental Dragons, yeah. Well, that's another cool thing about, again, like Wikipedia is your friend when it comes to like coming up with new ideas, because like I'll look up like Japanese folklore or Chinese folklore, and all this shit will pop up, and it's like a rabbit hole, man. I'll just read about the Oni, and then like it's interesting, like the Japanese, culturally, the Japanese, their ghosts, there's like different kinds of ghosts, but like one major type of ghosts of the Japanese are hunger ghosts. And it's not necessarily the like food, but like they hunger for something, blood or whatever it is. But they're driven by this need to feed off of whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, this, and then you just go down the rabbit hole and you think, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll use that. I'll use this. They all have like, they got that weird creature that like, it's like a vampire, but like at night it detaches, the head detaches off the body, and the spine and like its organs fly through the air and like suck your blood, but the body's like back where it sleeps, and then it's just fucking weird, just weird shit that you're gonna add to your game. In my Weird World War II, there's a point in the war, I basically wrote it like this: the level of horror and fear and death was so massive that the world changed. There's like some psychic scream or whatever the fuck it is, and the world changed. And what happened was that the myths of the people of that believed it in those areas became manifest. So like if you're in, if you're in Greece, right? And a good portion of the people believe, the old Greek myths or whatever the fuck, they manifest. So you got satyrs and centaurs, and you got nymphs, and you got that kind of shit, like manifesting in the areas that they were said to have grown from. So all of a sudden you've got these monsters or whatever it might be in these areas, these of the people who believed in those areas, they're manifest. So good or bad. So there you go. You can add a whole fucking bunch of new troop types or monsters or support, or third party shit comes out of nowhere, like, oh damn, we're in Transylvania, right? We're Romania, and then there's a vampire clan that's out there. So the vampire clan is a third party belligerent. So they're eating Germans and Brits when they're fighting in that area or whatever. So it's kind of cool. You can do that. Oh yeah. Well, I want to say the land that time forgot, that was World War I, wasn't it? It was like an Imperial German sub, if I remember correctly. Wow, it don't matter. That's right, man. I mean, I don't know about Jason and the Argonauts, but like, the Hydra would be alive, and then what is it, that bull, the brass bull, and you'd have like what's the big sea monster, Scythia or whatever. But yeah, you have all that, the Krakens around, and then you get, you can get like the Norse mythology. You can have, Thor kicking ass. I kind of limited it on. I didn't do gods because gods is a whole nother fucking level. I mean, they might be around, but they're like up doing whatever gods do. They're kind of letting the world do what they want, what it's going to do. But like the monsters and like the weird creatures and stuff, I thought that was cool. Yeah, I've actually got Lo Pan and the three storms in my Chinese army. I found an STL of the three storms in Lo Pan, and I printed them up. They're gonna be like they're self-serving in that they're independent, like true. They're not involved at all with like the government of China and their official military, but they're fighting for China at the moment because the Japanese are coming in and fucking with them. So they're kind of like, it's kind of cool. Yeah, your Emotep stuff. Yeah. Scylla. That's it. Scylla. She can be hiding in the, in the waters of the Med, attacking Italian and German and Brit and whoever else you have floating around in there. Yeah, Jane Fonda. Yeah. So I meant to say something about that. So Tiki, your Emotep army. There's a game called oh god, I just went blank. What is that fucking game called? I have the rule. Let me get the rule. War Gods of the Aegeus or War Gods of Egyptius. And it's basically a fantasy Warhammer game, but it's like the armies are like the gods. They represent the gods that are fighting for him. So like Anubis has like his jackal army, right? So that might be a line that you might want to look at if you want to have like jackal troops. Like, they got spears and swords, the curved sword and all sorts of different shit. And then there's different like armies for the different gods. So like Ra would have like falcon, looking dudes, and the cat guys, and then one of the other cool armies is the gators. They're like gator fucking men. I can't remember what god that was. The gator god. Oh yeah. Oh, they have a short god. Those are like, aren't they like? They're like aren't those like stone? Let me go get that. Let me go get that real quick. I got that rule book. I'm reading it because there's guys I play with wanted to play it. Oh, that War Gods of the Aegeus. Yeah, War Gods. What time is it? Is it really? Yeah. But yeah, let me show you. So, and they have different ones. So this is the Egyptian one, right? And I think they have Greece, and I think they have. I think they've got. What else do they got? I think they got Greece, Egypt. But yeah, I don't know. But let me see which armies they got here, real quick, so you can see them. Yeah, the Anubi. Let me see if there's some pictures. They got the Anubi. That's like Anubis's crew. And Basti. Those are like the cat people. And then I guess Raws are like, or Horus. Horus is the falcon troops. And then you got Kemru, which are like goats. And then Nick Haru are like these weird, like, they look like Skeksis from Dark Crystal. Then you got the Sebki, the children of Sobki. They're like the giant gator guys. Those are fucking sweet. But let me show you some pictures of some of these things. Let's see. Let me find you a Anubis one here. But yeah, so here I don't know if you can see any of this shit, but That's kind of like, those are the Anubis troops. Like that. And then you got like, let's see. And then they got like, let me try to get, yeah, see, they got like some wizards and, but yeah, it's like that. But yeah, give it a look over. It's called War Gods of the Egyptus. And again, they have like Greeks and shit like that too. Greeks and I think Norse. They have Norse ones. If I remember correctly. Let me see if there's something in here. They have. Yeah, I think they have the Greeks, and I don't know. But it might be something worth checking out if you want to put together like some cool like, you know, like monster dudes. All right, guys. Well, it's 11 o'clock, and my woman has said it's time for bed because tomorrow we go to work. Gotta go to work. Work like a dog. But hey, look, it was fantastic hanging out. I actually finished some fences. I actually did something. So I did some stuff. So that's good. It's always a pleasure to hang out with all you guys. I cannot give enough love to all you guys. I mean, Cal, it's good to see you, man. Sorry, it's on the end of it, but yeah, just, you know, it's great to just have this camaraderie of like minds that, you know, we might be playing different stuff, but man, we're all kind of similar in what we're doing and what our loves are and whatnot. So you know, let's plug each other if we can, you know, support each other when we can, and you know, and we always got to keep it weird, right? Again, it was a pleasure to have all you guys. You guys go look through the comments, and there's several links there. Go check out those guys and give them a subscription and give them some love. All right, guys. Again, whatever you do in this crazy, crazy mixed up world, keep it weird.